Niu FM, you're tuned in with me, Sia, and I'm very excited today. This person that you are about to have a kōrero with, or I'm about to have a kōrero with, sorry, the listeners are listening in, no stranger to social media and to the work that you have been doing. Talo Falava o Nisa Pula Vinaka, we've got Shaneel Lal, Fijian anti-conversion therapy activist and a very strong voice as well for the rainbow community. How are you today?
Kia ora, thank you for having me. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little nervous. I'm fangirling as well at the moment. I'm a little nervous because I know like you're a person who is great with words, and as much as I am like I guess a radio personality, I'm like my vocab is very limited, and so I'm like, oh my
English
gosh,
is my third language. We're fine. We're
we're
gonna be
safe.
fine.
But you know what, I second that. I fresh out a lot, so I always sometimes I tend to forget that English is my second language for me. So but hello Shaneel, thank you so much for making time for us today. I'm looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have. We're going to be talking about the conversion therapy ban that has now become official here in Aotearoa as of the 19th of Feb. But just before we kind of get into it, you know, for any of our listeners that may not be familiar with you and the work that you do, just a brief intro please of who you are and what you do.
My name is Shaneel Lal. I currently govern Rainbow Youth, which is a charity providing mental health support for young queer people. I also govern Auckland Pride Festival, so that's the Pride March that you see in the city every year. This year we didn't have one because of COVID, of course, and I govern a queer organization called Adhikar for South Asian queer people. But I was previously the youth MP for Manukau East for Jenny Salesa, and that's how I began my work to end conversion therapy. I went to Parliament and I made a speech about banning conversion therapy, and that's how the movement grew.
And for anyone that's listening, and I know this probably sounds like a really simple question, but what exactly is conversion therapy?
Well, conversion therapy is any practice that tries to change your LGBTQIA plus identity to heterosexual and cisgender. And some of the practices that they use is absolutely insidious. In the past, they used electrical shocks. There is a lesbian woman who's still alive who was given more than 200 electrical shocks to cure her from being a lesbian. More modern approaches include psychoanalysis. So that's sitting down with a medical professional as they tell you that your gender and your sexuality can absolutely be changed. Or evasion therapy, that's snapping yourself with a rubber band every time you get a gay thought. So that's associating your queer feelings and your queer thoughts with pain. So accepting that you're queer becomes a punishment in itself.
That's actually a little heartbreaking to listen, because I know, you know, we, like I said, it sounds like a simple question, but when you break down to just what, and those are only a few of the examples, and I can only imagine how many people have not shared their own story or their own truth of their own conversion therapy experiences. I want to ask though, you know, from your point of view, what effects does conversion therapy have on someone?
Yep, what we do know as a matter of fact is that conversion therapy does not work. There's no evidence, no medical body supports conversion therapy. In fact, all medical bodies in New Zealand call it unethical and ineffective. So everyone's condemned it. All the professionals have condemned it. But what we know is that if a parent puts a young person into conversion therapy, they double the chances of that young person committing suicide. The chances of depression will triple, and you know, those are very horrific stats. Doubling suicide, tripling depression are very horrific stats, because what we know about New Zealand is that young queer people in New Zealand are 5 times more likely to kill themselves than young non-queer people. That is appalling for a country like New Zealand.
And I want to also say, you know, congratulations, because all your hard work has paid off. Officially from February the 19th, conversion therapy by law is now banned here in Aotearoa. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong as well, Shaneel, you know, I think very fitting as well, because it's Pride Month here in Aotearoa. I believe that it is. I want to ask though, where to from here? Like, what does it mean for the country, and especially for the rainbow community, that now that conversion therapy has been officially banned?
You know, banning conversion therapy wasn't just a win for the queer community, it was a win for humanity. Queer rights are human rights, and queer people don't need to be accepted or tolerated. We need to be liberated, and ending a practice that is aimed at erasing us is a beginning to liberating queer people. But I am completely aware that a criminal ban is not the solution to all our problems. What we need to do is educate a generation of people and change their hearts and minds about how they feel about queer people, so that conversion therapy just doesn't happen. But, you know, within the Pacific community, Tonga and Samoa and Cook Islands, just to name three, continue to criminalize homosexuality. And those are things that we need to change back home.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking of change, I guess, I don't know whether it's an easy answer or not. How do we make that change? How do we change the minds of people who, you know, they think like, no, this is, you know, it's got to be taken out of their body or their mind. Like, how do we actually work as a society, especially as a Pacific community? What are things that we can do to help change that mentality?
I'll be honest, that is a difficult question, but I think talking about our Pacific community specifically, before colonization, queer people were integral to our society. Fa'afafine, Fakaleiti, Mahu, Vakasalewalewa, Takatapui. These people were within our communities before colonization came and stripped us away. The truth is that we are all family and we love each other and we want the best for each other. And if we just follow our hearts and lead with love, we will find a way to accept each other, and we will find a way to legitimize each other. And so often Pacific people tell me that I love my queer siblings. And it's like, if you love your queer siblings, why won't you legitimize them? Why won't you decriminalize them? So I think it's about our communities confronting their hypocrisy, that if you love us, then you need to support us. And that includes through the law. But I also will say that our government has a role to play here. They need to educate young queer people about just education, consent, sexualities, and genders, just understanding that these things exist and they are okay. And, you know, we won't have to do this forever. We just need to do it till most of the generation, an entire generation understands it, and then it will just follow from there.
That's so true. And you know, while you were saying that as well, I remember this conversation that I had with a friend a long time ago, and they identified themselves as a whakaleiti. And then they were sharing with me like how there are times they don't like, as much as they know their family loves them, but their family chooses when they can be a boy or when they can be a girl based on the duties or the work that they want to do. So, I mean, you're right. Very long way to go as a community for us to be able to, you know, change the mentality of those around us. But I want to ask, because I know, I'm sure you've already had so many people ask you since this has been posted on social media, initial feeling when you heard, oh my gosh, Shaneel, you've been posted on Vogue, and not just any Vogue, like, you know, it's not even those spam pages asking people to pay you money. Like, it's the actual Vogue international social media platform. And for anyone who doesn't know what Vogue is and you're only thinking of Madonna, no, we're talking about Vogue. They do magazine, they do fashion, like all of that. What was the initial feeling for you?
Well, I woke up quite late on that day because Vogue posted me the day after conversion therapy was banned in New Zealand. And I had slept in because I didn't go to bed till like 1 or 2 in the morning. And I wake up and my friend sent me this post with a picture of me. And I think, oh, someone's made an appreciation post for me. I'm just going to go say thank you. And I open the post and it's the official Vogue. And I scream. It's like, what? This is really happening to me? And I mean, I'm posted alongside the biggest names in the world. And now when I reflect on it, I just think a Pacific model and a Pacific attire photographed by a Pacific person in the Pacific has been posted on the biggest name in fashion. We deserve that.
Yes,
I think
and you
we should be
deserve that.
grateful. We should be grateful, but we deserve that.
100. And I want to ask though, you know, now that Vogue has posted it, what impact do you hope that this one post, right, of Shaneel and the work that you and the people and the community have done to get conversion therapy banned, but what impact do you hope that this post has being shared on Vogue brings to, like, not even just to New Zealand, to your community, to us as Pacific, but to the world?
One of the most significant things that this post will do is send a message to the world that New Zealand has banned conversion therapy. And this is a challenge to all the other countries in the world to follow suit. It is not acceptable that in 2022, only 13 countries in the entire world have some sort of ban on conversion therapy. So this is a very new fight, and a fight that most of the world hasn't begun. So I think Vogue has played a very important role in sending the message to the world that, come on, you're being left behind, hurry up. And following that, I have joined a group which takes the fight to ban conversion therapy to the world. So it doesn't end here now. I will be taking this to the world. But I think it's just a moment of joy for us. After 5 years of fighting against a system that is so crushing, everything that the queer community has achieved has been so hard fought for that when you finally achieve it, you're debilitated. We're always up against a crushing system. And so when we finally achieved the ban on conversion therapy, it was a relief more than a celebration, because we were all exhausted.
Yeah.
So I think Vogue celebrating us on behalf of us was a joyful moment.
And definitely a celebration, like, you know, and I'm sure there's not enough words just to express how happy you guys are to how far the journey has come. And as you said, there's still a long way to go. But, you know, you talked a little bit before as well, you know, like how it doubles the suicide rate, unfortunately, for the queer community, you know. And here in Aotearoa, we're trying to take a focus more on like, let's actually look after our mental wellness. I want to just have a quick check-in though, Shaneel. How have you been? Like, now that the journey has got to where it is, but how have you been? Have you actually taken some time out just to breathe and not reply to emails and not do interviews and just have dinner with your family and just enjoy life for a bit?
The short answer is no.
Oh.
Because of course the work doesn't stop, but I'll be honest, resting makes me depressed. I can't rest. I'm one of those people who need to keep working. And I guess when you're a brown immigrant, you're taught that the only thing that you have of value is your labor. And that is a mindset that I need to work myself out of. I get productivity anxiety. Productivity anxiety is when you get anxiety when you're not being productive. And so I've trained myself into thinking that when I'm resting, I'm not productive. And that's what I need to stop.
Well, if you ever need help with that, I can tell you I am great at being lazy. So we can always we can always watch a movie, something, because I'm like, I am the queen of being lazy. I had a nap before I just jumped onto the Zoom.
I love that.
I thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best as the journey continues. Not only you, but the team behind you, and continuing to to fight the fight of banning conversion therapy worldwide. And hopefully the next time we have this kōrero, it's gone from 13 to like 100 countries or even more so. But before we do let you go, I want to let you have the last say. Is there any like words of advice, words of love, anything, any message that you want to send out to the listeners of Niu FM?
I would say that, the people who came before me fought to make the world a better place for me. I fight to make the world a better place for the generations of queer people that will come after me. The ban on conversion therapy is a gift to the future generations of queer people. From now, no queer child will be born into New Zealand that allows the erasure of their identity. And I think that is something that we can all celebrate.